הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, דה 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 דה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, דה 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 דה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה ברוך, הנה מה טוב, דה 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 דה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, דה 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 דה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom. It is wonderful to see everyone this evening. To those who are joining us here in the sanctuary and those who are joining us on the line. And I just want to say that I wore the red and black first today. Cantor changed. So somebody asked about it earlier, and it looks like we're going to a middle school dance in the 1980s with our matching outfits. But a few of you are in the red because the first Friday of February every year is red for Women's Heart Health. So the month of February is the American Heart Association, and that first Friday always, at least for the past decade, has been Go Red for Women's Heart Health, hence the red. And, well, our matching clothes. So, and we just also offer Shabbat Shalom from Rabbi Reinhardt. He is home this evening after a long week with his family, and he is preparing to join our confirmation students tomorrow on their trip to Washington, D.C. So we wish all of them well in their travels tomorrow. It's going to be a cold day on the East Coast. So if you are at home, we are about to light our candles and say Kiddush, and this is a wonderful way to join in our services at home. And so we do so with candles and with Kiddush. And as these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we at our own day be among those who kindle light. As we welcome in the light and the warmth and the peace of Shabbat, we join together Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. And if you can all in the congregation please stand. And those of you online, if you want to stand as well. Or if you are unable to, you may lift your spirits higher than the previous 6 days. On page 123, we will sing together the Kiddushat Hayom with wine, our symbol of joy. We sing together the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei Perei hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho be'ahavav ratzon hinechilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techiro mikro kodesh zecher letzion Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol Shabbat kodshecha be'ava uveratzon hinechaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And we say together, L'chaim, to life, and Shabbat Shalom.
You may be seated. And tonight, in honor of Tu B'Shvat, which will be on Monday, so we are the Shabbat before Tu B'Shvat, which means you have plenty of time this weekend to buy all sorts of different fruits and nuts and vegetables that you can eat on Tu B'Shvat, because we're supposed to try to say a lot of different blessings for things that we are eating brand new in the season. But tonight we are thrilled to welcome to the Bima Diane Blyer. Diane grew up here at United Hebrew, and as we just figured out, she's at least third generation United Hebrew. She could be fourth generation. And she and her husband, Craig, have been blessed to watch their children, Brandon, Alec, and Elizabeth, grow up here at United Hebrew. Diane has served as chair of our religious school board. She's also serves on our UH Board of Trustees. Diane is here tonight to speak a little bit about trees and the environment. She is an author, and I believe this is her third novel, correct? Her third novel, The Second Chance, which was published in June of 2022. And in this novel, humans are navigating climate change and their own relationships with climate change, and it's set in 2035. Having read the very first of Diane's novels and working my way through this one, in Diane's writings, she challenges her readers' perspectives on actually many controversial issues of the day, although her writing is sort of set into the future. And she challenges us on things like climate change, reproductive rights, bioethics. And in her writing, it really calls on us to think about these things in different ways, but more importantly, to think about these things with regard to the decisions that we are making, specifically the decisions we make as individuals and the decisions we make as a community, and how they will continue to impact onto the many, many generations that will follow. And probably Diane is most proud, and we are certainly proud, that she was honored to participate this year, this past fall, in the St. Louis Jewish Book Festival as part of the Missouri's Own program. And so always wonderful to be able to hear from somebody who is from our own to be here. And so Diane, we are delighted to welcome you to this Bima once again, and now to speak for Tu B'Shvat. Welcome.
Thank you, Rabbi Rosenberg, for that nice introduction. I appreciate it. Shabbat Shalom. It's an honor to speak to my fellow congregants. I'd like to begin by setting a scene. There is unrest in the forest, trouble with the trees. For the maples want more sunlight, and the oaks ignore their pleas. The trouble with the maples, and they're quite convinced they're right. They say the oaks are just too lofty, and they grab up all the light. But the oaks can't help their feelings if they like the way they're made, and they wonder why the maples can't be happy in their shade. There is trouble in the forest, and the creatures all have fled, and the maples scream oppression, and the oaks just shake their heads. So the maples formed a union and demanded equal rights. They say, the oaks are just too greedy. We will make them give us light. Now there's no more oak oppression, for they passed a noble law, and the trees are all kept equal by hatchet, axe, and saw. The name of the song is The Trees. It was written by the poet Neil Peart and performed by the band Rush in 1978. Geddy Lee, the lead singer, is the Jewish son of Polish immigrants. According to Peart, there was no meaning to this song, just an idea that came to mind after he saw cartoon pictures of trees carrying on like fools. But to me, the lyrics represent turmoil, unrest, and concern. Thoughts that plague me each day about the environment and the dreaded effects of climate change. We are at a place in history where caring for the environment has become crucial. This Monday, we celebrate Tu B'Shvat, the Jewish New Year of the trees. It's believed that originally Tu B'Shvat was an agricultural festival marking the emergence of spring. The holiday has become a tree planting festival in Israel and around the world, where trees are planted in honor or in memory of loved ones. And now, as part of our need to address climate change concerns, Tu B'Shvat can take on an even greater purpose, increasing our recognition of trees as vital tools in our defense against the current scourge of the earth. Trees are a vital tool, the single most effective device to pull carbon dioxide out of the air and store it. Trees are also nature's air conditioners. Just think about how many times you've stepped out of the sun and into the shade of a tree. Trees also act as our planet's natural air purifiers. Storing carbon in wood slows down climate change, especially in older trees that have more capacity to absorb carbon dioxide than do younger trees. Forests capture and store almost 15% of our carbon dioxide emissions every year, the equivalent to the annual emissions from 163 million cars. A mature tree can take in about 50 pounds of carbon dioxide per year. At that rate, it would take 640 trees per person to account for all American emissions. 56 years ago, when my brother was born, my parents planted an oak tree in their backyard in his honor. They named it Mark's tree. The oak tree, along with other broadleaf species like beech and maple, are the most effective trees to combat climate change. The larger surface area of leaves permits them to remove a greater amount of carbon dioxide from our environment. When my parents planted Mark's tree, a little more than a half century ago, The circumference of the trunk was 6 inches. That's about half the waist size of Mark as a newborn baby. My parents still live there, and that massive tree stands healthy, towering over the property, with a trunk the circumference of 132 inches, or equivalent to 11 feet. Yes, it's actually that big. Not only has it provided shade to the garden and basketball hoop where Mark and I played, it noticeably grew as my brother grew, mirroring his life cycle events. Consecration to bar mitzvah to confirmation, marriage to becoming a father, a startup business to a successful career. Mark's tree, like other oak trees in the area, helps us in our daily lives by giving off oxygen that we need to breathe, providing shade from harsh sun rays, especially when grandchildren visit my parents and play basketball like Mark and I did growing up. I know many of you have a similar story or an attachment to a particular tree, or a special tree that you planted in honor or in memory of a loved one. I'd like to hear those stories after the service, or on Tu B'Shvat. Why not share your story with a family member or friend? My grandparents planted a tree at the Missouri Botanical Garden in memory of my great aunt Eleanor. The tree was planted at the edge of the Japanese garden. When my family and I walk through the beautiful garden and visit that tree, we think about her. She was an artist. I picture her beautifully painted landscapes as I gaze at the tree overlooking the pond and reminisce about the great impact she had on our lives. But what if all those beautiful and meaningful moments were denied to us? That could be the case if there were a significant loss of trees, causing the natural beauty of the earth to be diminished by their absence. Think of the last vacation you went on and how important the scenery was to enjoying your special trip. Did you hike in a national forest like Redwood National Park, or drive to see the autumn leaves in Indiana, or maybe even in New England, or a short trip to Creve Coeur Lake to see the sun setting? Without trees, there would be loss of wildlife that depend on them for protection and homes. Where would all the birds and squirrels live without trees? Additionally, we all know that trees provide nourishment. Imagine having no fruits like apples or spices like cinnamon and cloves, ingredients many of us use for Rosh Hashanah dinner, or walnuts, an ingredient used in arugula. We'd also be missing my husband's favorite, maple syrup. He loves to go to the Maple Sugar Festival at Rockwood Reservations. And my favorite, cocoa, that I used to bake my Grandma Mary's favorite brownies. I've just mentioned some of the obvious things, a few of which are on a small scale of disturbing our lives. But there are other examples that are much more disrupting, with far-reaching consequences. Without trees, there would be increased global flooding. Heavy rains would lead to frequent flooding and soil erosion due to the absence of tree roots and the barrier effect they provide. Recently, with climate change, forest areas have become drier and more prone to extreme droughts. When trees degrade or are cleared by fire, the stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere, making climate change worse. And due to deforestation, world forests such as the Amazon rainforest are shrinking at an alarming rate, destroying habitats, condemning living species to extinction, causing flooding, and increasing greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Look at California right now. In January, pounding rainstorms followed an epic drought. This environmental extreme caused tree roots to uproot and fall. They blanketed the rain-soaked landscape, creating significant loss and dangerous hazards as trees slammed into power lines, shut down highways, and crashed into homes. Sadly, we have a horrendous current example that emphasizes the problem. Climate change also fuels wildfires. In 2022, more than 7 million acres have burned. Wildfires darken skies in the Pacific Northwest, where residents of the normally lush green region experience the world's worst air pollution. The air quality in parts of our Pacific coast was worse than places like Beijing and New Delhi, which frequently struggle with air pollution. These are just a few examples, but they demonstrate that climate change is the one thing we all have in common. Everyone is impacted. However, too few are ready or willing to talk about it. According to a 2022 survey conducted by the Yale Program on Climate Change Communication and reported in the Washington Post article, Climate Change in the American Mind, 64% of Americans reported being very worried or somewhat worried about climate change. But 67% of Americans say they rarely or never discuss global warming with their friends and family. I'd like to change that. For too many years, the conversation about climate change has been whether or not it's real. It is. There is no more doubt. The conversation must now shift to how to stop it. How can we reverse the damage that has already been done? And how can we preserve our only home, the Earth? I have published a novel called The Second Chance, like Rabbi Rosenberg mentioned. The story prompts a call to action to get people talking about the important issues of our time, encouraging readers to challenge their perspectives on hot-button issues, including climate change, reproductive rights, and bioethics. Without talk and discussions followed by action, progress can't be made. Everyone must play a role in addressing the climate emergency and reducing our carbon footprint. But what can be done individually and collectively as a community to address the issue, especially because there is no plan B? As the great Martin Luther King Jr. said, even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. Luckily, it's not all doom and gloom. People are banding together to take action to stop climate change. Close to 1.9 billion trees are planted annually, according to statistics by the United Nations Environmental Program. In Israel, over the last 100 years, JNF, the Jewish National Fund, has planted over 200 million trees. As Rabbi Rosenberg mentioned in her Shabbat message this morning, Israel is the only country to have more trees than it did 50 years ago. The trees are planted where they're most needed and in areas that are most conducive to their growth. Currently, the areas of focus are in two locations, the Carmel Forest and the Negev Desert. A variety of tree species indigenous to the Middle East, such as carob, redbud, almond, pear, hawthorn, and the exotic Atlantic cedar are planted. There is also proposed legislation to afforest Israel's cities by shading sidewalks on main thoroughfares. This effort is part of coping with climate change because of the dire lack of trees and shade in the cities. As a side note, trees planted in cities that suffer from pollution are under stress and don't grow as big as trees planted in the country. African countries have also partnered to create the Great Green Wall of Trees to protect the Sahara Desert from expanding. And to protect shorelines like the Gulf of Mexico, mangroves are being planted. Mangroves provide a natural infrastructure to populated areas by preventing erosion and absorbing storm surge impacts during extreme weather events such as hurricanes. The majority of the world's mangroves are found in Asia and Africa. And in St. Louis, the Missouri Botanical Garden encourages people to compost yard waste. It's important to lessen a community's dependence on landfills. Yard waste can represent up to 20% of solid waste. Fallen leaves can be used to create mulch or compost. Compost is an excellent way to create nutrient-rich soil, retain moisture, and control weeds in our gardens. Now, you may be thinking, what can we do to help? Well, I've got that covered. I'm organizing a climate change special interest group here at UH. Jewish environmental activists suggest that treating the environment with respect and care should be an integral part of living out the Jewish concepts of Torah. Every little thing we can do to help the environment is valuable. I'm a firm believer that everyone can make a positive impact on the climate crisis. I hope that each of you will consider joining. Everyone is welcome. Concerned citizens like me, as well as members who have knowledge and/or expertise such as in renewable energy and carbon reduction. Let's come together to learn about the issues, take action, and join others in the St. Louis community to help stop climate change. Our first meeting will be at UH on February 26th at 1 p.m. That's a Sunday. Please see me after services. I'll have a sign-up sheet. And if you're watching virtually, my contact information is in the weekly newsletter, or you can call UH. On Sunday, I hope you'll take this Tu B'Shvat to consider all the good that trees bring us. The Hebrew term Etz Chaim, literally tree of life, is a common one used in Jewish life, often used to refer to the Torah. The first reference to the tree of life in Jewish texts comes from the biblical story of the Garden of Eden. Genesis 2:9 relates that God filled the garden with beautiful and tasty trees. I'd like to end with a famous poem called Trees by Joyce Kilmer. This poem is special to me because my mother learned it for a voice recital when she was taking voice lessons in high school and later sung it to me when I was a child. The reverence expressed in the last two lines of the poem echoes the blessings that Jews make upon seeing something beautiful. Blessed are you, our Lord, King of the universe, who has this in his world. If you know the poem, please say it or sing it with me. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, a tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Diane, so much for your words. And I'll add one more piece of Jewish text to it, although off the top of my head, I don't remember where it comes from. But as Diane spoke about trees being so important in our tradition, there is a teaching that if you are in the middle of planting a tree and the Messiah shows up, you actually are supposed to finish planting the tree before you go and greet the Messiah. So a real text. So that is just how important trees are in our tradition. Thank you, Diane, for your words, and I hope that all who are interested will join her in this important group and discussion. And we continue now on page 138 as we join together welcoming in Shabbat with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likvar kala B'nei Shabbat nikavela Lecha Dodi likvar kala B'nei Shabbat nikavela Shmor v'zachor b'nibur echad Ishmianu Elam Yuchad, Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Echad, V'Shemu Tiferet V'Ritila, Lecha Dodi likvar kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela, Lecha Dodi likvar kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lekhat Shabbat Lechu v'nelcha Kim Mekor HaBeracha Lerosh Mikedem Nisucha So Ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Stand up please. Chadoti likra kala. Face the doors. B'nei Shabbat dikavela. Chadoti likra kala. B'nei Shabbat dikavela. Vive Shalom Ateret Bala Gam B'Simcha Uvetzola Toch Emune Am Segula Boi Chala Chadoti likrakala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Chadoti likrakala B'nei Shabbat nekabela Chadoti likrakala Shabbat Nikavela Lechadoti Likrakala B'nei Shabbat Nikavela.
And we continue now on page 146 as we remain standing for Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Amen. Adonai, Amevorach, Amevorach, Le'olam va'ed. Amevorach, Amevorach, Le'olam va'ed.
And in the middle of page 147, as we prepare for Shema, O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you, we seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we sometimes are lonely and alone. Oh, let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Dai 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 dai. Die, 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 Baruch Shem Kivod, Shem Kivod Malachuto, Le'olam, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod, Shem Kivod Malachuto, Le'olam, Le'olam
You may be seated. We turn to page 155, and we'll join together in the English on that page, page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. Page 158, we join together in singing Mi Chamocha, words that can be found in this week's Torah portion as our people cross the sea.
כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילו, עושה פלא. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילו, עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו פניך, פוגע ים לפני משה ומרים. ואלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילו, עושה פלא ונאמה כפדה. אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק לימנו. ברוך אתה, אדוני גדול ישראל. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש.
And we turn now in our prayer books to page 160 as we come to Hashkivenu, our evening prayer for peace.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Nishalom. עמיתנו, שומרנו, Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom. Hamidenu, Shomerenu,
And as we prepare for the Amidah, we turn to page 165. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. And we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agite yiratecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah, page 168. Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atarav lehoshia, Mashiva ruach umorida kashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Zomech noflim verofech horim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umidomeroch, Melech membit umechayeh umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol Baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol. Page 170. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalu chasela Baruch ata Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated. And we turn to page 179, and we'll join together there for a prayer for peace. And certainly as we think about peace in our world, I can't help but think, but one of the things that often can bring people together is exactly what Diane spoke about, and that is care for the earth. And I think about the many conferences or even the ways sometimes that other countries will even interact with Israel And so much of it has to do with environmental issues, drip irrigation and desalination and whatever else, these various technologies that have been created to help. And so we think about how trees and the earth can help bring us all together as we join in this prayer at the top of the page. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. And now we turn in our prayer books to page 371, and we think of those in our community who are in need of healing, be it a spiritual healing, a physical healing, an emotional healing. And I'm sure some tonight are thinking of those who are in need of healing. And if you are comfortable and would like to call a name aloud to add to our prayer this evening, I'm going to ask you to rise at this time. And together we say aloud and add to our prayer all of those beloved, precious names who are in need of healing. And we take all of those names into our heart, and may God swiftly send them a refuah shlema, complete renewal of body and spirit, as we join together in singing Mishaberach, our prayer for healing.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with the refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We take a moment for silent and personal prayer.
save more energy. We can recycle paper and protect lots of trees. We can pick up a litter and clean our neighborhood. Instead of saying something mean, we focus on the good. We must tend our garden, don't you know? We must tend our garden, don't you know? We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? People share the earth with animals and trees. We've got to be responsible. We can't do just as we please. The earth is ours to keep, so let's be nice to it. The children and their grandchildren will be so glad we did. We gotta spend our garden, we've gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? We gotta tend our garden, we gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? If we all work together, the easier than it seems. The world will be a better place because of you and me. We gotta tend our garden, we gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? We gotta tend our garden, we gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? We gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know?
Shabbat Shalom. My name is David Spiewak. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and I want to thank everyone for coming out on this crisp evening. Tomorrow at UH, Torah study begins at 9 o'clock in the Spielberg Chapel or on Zoom. We also have Family Shabbat led by UH's 6th grade class in the Millstone Sanctuary or live stream. Upcoming events include on Tuesday, February 7th, it's 7 o'clock. Introduction to Judaism class begins. The course will meet for 16 sessions on Tuesday evenings from 7 to 9 in the temple. Wednesday, February 8th, 7:30, we have Whiskey and Wisdom. Come for the whiskey, stay for the Torah, and a little shot of whiskey, probably keep everybody warm. On Friday, February 17th at 5:30, we have a Tat Shabbat program. It's a short 30-minute service, and it's just right for children 0 to 6 years of age. Come for the service, stay for the Shabbat Nash in the auditorium afterwards. On Wednesday, February 22nd, we have a Purim program, DIY and drinks. I didn't know what DIY meant, so Esther was kind enough to let me know that's do it yourself. You can enjoy an adult's night out, creating on-trend decorations and more to help beautify and celebrate Jewish holidays in your home. Drinks and projects are provided. For information on additional upcoming classes and programs, please visit the UH website. Special shout out to our tech team for making it possible for all of us to be together virtually tonight. You guys do a great job. And the gift shop will be open Monday through Fridays from 12 till 3, that's Mondays and Fridays. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 9:30 to 3, and Sundays from 9 to 1 while religious school is in session, or you can come by appointment. The gift shop will also be open tonight during the dessert oneg. Thank you.
And to add to that, a very special thank you to our bakers for tonight's dessert oneg. We appreciate all of you for the sweetness that you have provided. And it is the first Friday night of the month. One whole month has passed in this new year. So we are now in the month of February, and we are celebrating birthdays. And celebrating birthdays in this month on February 6th is Barry Sharon. Happy birthday. You may stand if you'd like, or you may stay seated.
And on February 9th, Eva Ashner will be celebrating a birthday.
And on February 22nd, Marvin Ginsburg is celebrating a birthday.
And on February 24th, Elizabeth Freeman is celebrating a birthday.
And if there's anybody else celebrating a birthday in February, Bob Parham is celebrating a birthday. As all of you, and those at home, certainly, who are celebrating birthdays this month, we offer this blessing. Yehi darkechem mevorach, may your way be blessed.
Ya'er aleichem or hachokma, may wisdom's light shine upon you.
Yitein lachem masechem shalom, and may your journey throughout life continue to bring you peace. And to each of you, we wish you a very happy birthday, and we say ad mea ve'esrim, may you live to be 120, just as Moses did. Happy birthday, and as they say in Israel, Mazal Tov for your birthday. We now turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא צמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגוררנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591, ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
And we continue on page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This Shabbat, the heartfelt condolences of our congregation go out to the families of Barbara Joan Reinhardt and Dr. Menachem Schmelzer. This Shabbat, we are in the period of Shloshim, the first month of mourning, for Sandra Rosenberg and Sanford Sandy J. Spitzer. And this week, this Shabbat, we observe the Yartzites and we lovingly remember Edwin Akers, Dr. Edward J. Berger, Daniel Burke, Kay Bilak, Lee White Block, Lillian S. Brown, William B. Carl, Jacob N. Kraselneck, Herman Essler, Herman Feigenbaum, Francis Feldman, Joseph Feldman, Sam Finkelstein, Rebecca D. Franklin, Miriam Arnett Freeberger, Ida Friedman, Elmer J. Gidlow, Ruth E. Goldstein, Fred A. Goldstein, H. Kenneth Gordon, Arthur W. Ginsberger, Anne Sue Halischer, Margaret Huber, Mendel Jacobs, Ida Jaffe, Frida S. Joseph, Howard I. K., Leah B. Clayman, Etta Clayman, Grace Kreiser, Eva Lamberg, Sam Laserwitz, Molly Malpe, Nathan Mendelson, Sam Michelson, Sarah R. Miller, Ben Muchnick, Sarah Muniz, Shirley J. Pash, Jean B. Pattis, Lena Rosenblum Poger, Morris Pollock, Gary Stewart Poscover, Kay Preston, Benjamin Roman, Esther G. Rosen, Isidore Rosen, Audrey Krantz Rosenberg, Dorothy H. Rosenblatt, Thelma Ross, Rebecca Rawson, Gertrude R. Roth, Sophie Rothstein, Edward I. Rudman, Fanny Rubin, Sheldon Rudnick, Dorothy M. Sapin, Joy Schetzer, Bertha Schwartz, Aaron H. Shanvet, Gertrude Sherman, Sam Silverberg, Jack N. Simberg, Gus Slumsky, Morris Sophia, Sophia Goldblum Sosna, Virginia Spiewak, Moses Stein, Blanche Steinberg, Lucille Thomas, Goldie Torgove, Karen C. Towerman, Richard J. Weinstein, Michael Weiss, Eugene H. Weeder, Michael B. Winthrop, Esther Wolf, Rose Zucker. If one of these loved ones is yours, we invite you to rise so that we may recognize the memory of your loved one. Zichrono livracha, may their memories be a blessing. And we now invite everyone to rise and stand with our mourners for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bialmad Divra Hirute Viamlich Malchute, V'chayechon Uvyomechon, Uv'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uvizman Kariv V'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Molmei Almaya. Yit Barach V'yish Tabach V'yit Pa'ar V'yit Romam V'yit Naseh V'yit Hadar V'yit Alev V'yit Halal Shemei Dekudashar Barichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nechemata Damiram Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom Bimromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. And this evening, as we celebrate, it actually is Shabbat Shirah, Shabbat that is we read the Song of the Sea as the Israelites cross over the Red Sea. We also read the Song of Deborah. If you are at services tomorrow morning, you will hear both of those being read. And it's a lot of singing. Today at preschool, we had a lot of singing and some tree songs. And I say that last week, I was at Brookdale with many members of our congregation doing a program on Tu B'Shvat. And Diane reminded me as she said, think about a tree story or a tree memory. And how many of us have memories of Tu B'Shvat? Some of us maybe, but it's one of those holidays I think we have memories at religious school if you went to religious school. And many people a week ago remembered the tin pushki box we all got from J&F. How many people remember those? Yep, those little boxes. So we think about our memory. Trees are so important in our tradition. And I encourage you, think about a memory and share it with Diane. I'm already thinking of all the tree memories I have. But it is one of the 4 New Years in our tradition, and so it is special. This time of year, it's about beginnings. It may not feel like it on this crisp winter evening, but we are beginning to be at the cusp soon of a newish year, as spring will be in, 6 weeks, we heard the other day? But in 6 weeks. But we think about all of the newness that not only comes with the start of a new year, but with spring. And we think about what our part can be, what we can bring to that newness, and what we can bring when we plant. When we plant into the ground, when we plant ourselves and our roots, and we continue to grow and we continue to help the world grow. And we wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom as we plant or tend our gardens once again.
If all of you are standing, the chorus is easy. We got to tend our garden. We've got to help it grow. We've got to tend our garden. Don't you know? Why don't we just tap our little thing right here, get our bodies into a little bit. Ready? 1. Come on, guys. There you go. Just move it a little bit. Tap the tape. Yeah, that's right. Your bodies are great instruments. All right, if you can keep that clap up for the entire thing, it'd be great. Or you can be a tree and sway like Rabbi Rosenberg. Jewish aerobics. Get a calorie burn going before you eat some sweets. Here we go. Keep it going. Ready? Let's tend our garden. Ready? You've got to tend our garden. You gotta help it grow. You gotta tend our garden, don't you know? You gotta tend our garden. You gotta help it grow. You gotta tend our garden, don't you know? You can turn the lights off and save some energy. We can recycle paper and protect lots of trees. We can pick up a litter and clean our neighborhood. I ended up saying something mean. We can focus on the good. Chorus! You gotta tend our garden. You gotta help it grow. You gotta tend our garden, don't you know? You gotta tend our garden. You gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? People share the earth with animals and trees, so we've got to be respectful. Can't do as we please. The earth is ours to keep, so let's be nice to it. Our children and our grandchildren will be so glad that we did. We gotta tend our garden. We gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? Gotta tend our garden. We gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? If we all work together, be easier than it seems. The world will be a better place because of you and me. We gotta tend our garden. We gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden, don't you know? Don't you know? We gotta tend our garden. We gotta help it grow. We gotta tend our garden. What? Don't you know?
Shabbat Shalom!